So, there are two events representative to Crystalline Conflict. Once a year, we get a Community Cup, and every FanFest, the devs hold the Crystalline Conflict Regional Cup, hoping to display the best players from each region in one grand live event on stage. However, many people aren't even aware this event exists, so I want to change this by sharing with the audience the experience of at least a handful of the players that participated in this very unique event. On this episode, we will be talking with players for the North American Regional Cup, including finalists and a champion, as well as two very special guests in Brian Ricardo and Merlin Emryss. Without further ado, I would like to introduce all roads lead to him, Buzzy Wuzzy of Big Goat City. How are you doing, Buzzy?
Whoa! Yo!
So we have unconfirmed rumors that his shoes are allegedly nicer than Buzzy's. How are you doing, Neo of Eidolon?
I'm doing great, and I would love to confirm those rumors as fact.
This is an important one. Carrying the weight of NA's PvP on his shield. From Stooges.
Oh, wait.
How are you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me here.
I had cooperation for that one.
I need that sound bit when you get a chance. That's going to be my intro from now on. Thanks, Oswald.
And this is a good segue. To him, we all bend the knee. Sir Oswald of Valiance. How are you doing, man?
Hello, please rise. I'm doing good. Hope everybody else is doing the same.
I am, and definitely am. I'm super excited to be here with all of you. And next up, he is as kindly as he is spooky. Amadeus Lionheart of Tomodachi. How are you doing, man?
Yo, thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. All right, this I have inside information for this. He is often busy teaching his teammates how to read Julian Tomes of Gnosis.
I don't like King Julian. I love him.
Hello.
All right. This is a special one. When he isn't dead, he spins a wheel and makes us fight for his entertainment. Bulletproof Heart of Winterbloom, who will be taking over as the rep of Winterbloom, so I can actually ask people questions. How are you doing, John?
I'm doing good. Hello.
Thank you for coming. And lastly, we have two bold new-ish faces from the Butlers, which I hear has now been reborn as Renaissance, Levi Scarlet and Toshio Goblin. How are you doing, guys?
Pretty well.
I don't know where I'm at. I'm just Levy's emotional support goblin.
So true.
Also, accompanying us, we have what I would call the godfathers of North American organized CC. Two figures who scarcely need introduction, but I will proceed to introduce them anyway. Brian Ricardo and Merlin Emryss, who respectively worked as shoutcaster and production cameraman for this event. Welcome, both of you. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode.
Hello. Thank you for having us.
Yo, what's up, everyone? Thank you, Tal, for doing this.
So before we go ahead, again, thank you so much for coming along, everyone. This is a very exciting episode for me. So without further ado, let's go from the beginning. I would like to start from Butlers for this one. Very beginning. What was your motivation for even signing up to this event? Like, how did you find out? Let's start by, I actually don't know who was the captain for Butlers. Toshio, perhaps? Or Levy?
I was captain for Butlers, and honestly, it was on a whim. We were still in Squires season 2. My girlfriend, Nia, decided that she just wanted to try the event because when do we get to do these type of things? It's every 3 years at best. So we kind of decided that we'll give it our best shot. We know we won't get very far, but it'll be a learning experience.
How about Tom's next? I know that your team was in for its second go for this.
So it is like pretty much the same aspect of I think everyone had positive experience, and we had a lot of people that didn't actually get to have that experience last CCRC. So the idea was around even Community Cup era, like when the Community Cup popped up, we were discussing like joining CCRC when it popped up. With the players that we had at the time. But yeah, we've been thinking about it since then. And it's even if, however it turned out, we had such a positive experience last time that we still had fun this time, and we were glad to still do it again.
Another team for whom this was the second round was Tomodachi. So, what was your reasoning for joining, Ama?
Yeah, honestly, the major thing was just to just get in there on a whim and just see how it would go for us since Tomodachi initially, because I'm original Gnosis, but Tomodachi was like my first crack at captaining my own team. Because like I've been on Tomodachi, Spook Universe, ERP, and those are all like teams where I'm just joining like as a guest. So this was like one of the first times Tomodachi is like a team piloted by me in a sense, like I'm captaining that ship basically. So I just want to see how we stacked up, how it would go for us. And more importantly, because I know that shout out to Sully Yomi. He tried to join the first CCRC with his team Jiggling, and because of the weird like issues they had with the forms, his team was not able to make it like at all. So this was giving him another opportunity as well to like put his hat in the ring.
Here. This is gonna be a story probably involving me, but how about Winterbloom, John? You can tell the story a little bit from the other perspective.
Winterbloom was made up of a bunch of people that have kind of always wanted to try LP and get into it and didn't have the time prior. And Take was able to kind of find us in our various spots and wrangle us together. It turned out that it wasn't that hard since some of us, a good portion of us, were in Brian's stream team, 14KO. And so we decided to join. We knew that it was something that was important to Take and Rashiel, so we all kind of went through a little bit of a trial by fire with getting ready, scrimming and practicing and prepping. But that's how we ended up there.
Yeah, I can't imagine suddenly finding yourselves in a dark room with me and Rochelle was a pleasant experience, but I'm glad you guys survived it.
No, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. I mean, it's not always fun getting your teeth kicked in, every week in scrims. But I think that if you're into crystalline conflict, that's just, that's a breakfast, So.
All right, let's move on to Oswald. Oswald, your team is actually one of the very few opponents I have basically no backstory. So how did Valiance end up deciding we're gonna sign up to this?
Well, yeah, we had a mention of Jiggling earlier, and that was a team that also had two of Valiance's current roster that was lining up for CCRC, and that was Alana and Bepsi. But because neither one of them was able to really get into the CCRC that time, they were very eager to play this time around. And I would say this was Valiance's like first foray into CCRC for sure. It's my first time, especially team captaining for a team leading up to CCRC too. So there was a lot of new territory to tread. It was very exciting, but also very nerve wracking. I was messaging Neo the day of our match. I sent him this like edit I did of us facing down for the final encounter, and I was legit up the entire night because I just could not sleep. So it was so much energy and a lot of commitment to CCRC for me and my team.
The fire video.
Yeah, it was sick. It was sick.
We're gonna speak freely for the most part, right?
Yes.
I didn't think about it till now, but between Oswald and Alma, Gnosis had Lelouch for this one as well. Like Jiggling was all there.
We're all freeing. We're all just like arcing them along, dude. I love it. Handshakes all around, man.
Yeah. But that is
One thing that
I'll go ahead.
go ahead also, Chloe. Just to chime in real quick then on while you're mentioning how you were interacting with Neo during the tournament or whatever. It was really cool as a spectator, especially me being around all of you guys for so long and being in the trenches. All of these like collapsing storylines, and I wish that was like more known and stuff. But it's like always going to be stories to tell, and like it's really cool that we connect in that way.
Yeah, I did want to add on to it and say, like, just Valiance was very much we were going through so many changes on the team that leading up to CCRC, it almost felt like we were an entirely different team. Even during scrims, we were pulling up with just comps we never really ran, and with a strategy we've never really run before, which is the turbo sync. And having that be our like first foot into toward the CCRC push was something that I think is very memorable. Makes me very proud of my team, despite our first time in it.
I can, before we go on to the next person to ask this to, I do want to say that knowing that we were going into quarters into you guys both made me super proud and absolutely wrecked my nerves. Okay. How about you, Adit? I believe Stooges has been together for close to an eternity, but what was the motivation for signing up to this?
So around when Endwalker CCRC was happening, we didn't exist at that point, but Pio invited me to a clown car with Micro, Raven, and this person named Tampico. So just we pulled up, did some scrims, and it kept happening like pretty much the weeks after Endwalker CCRC, and it was going really well. So at that point, we just kind of became a team, and we always knew from that point that we wanted to like make it to the next CCRC. Not too long after that, Merlin joined, and yeah, it's been a couple years at this point. Like there's been probably 100 different iterations of Stooges at this point, but it's always been kind of like the same core group for the most part. Shit, at one point we also had Lelouch. I forget that every single time. Um, yeah,
Yeah,
we
what am
there
I
was a
gonna give?
there was an
It's
era
my
we
turn.
lost PO for a bit, then yeah, no, we've had hella roster changes, but anyway, like we started that back then, knowing full well we wanted to try for Dawn Trail CCRC. So we're happy and proud to say that we made that goal a reality. It was a lot of waiting for it all to go down.
We only have Neo and Buzzy to go, but I'm like starting to wonder if like a mom said that I can have Lelouch's weekend is going to become like a
That
Pokemon
that
themed.
is literally what was on the back of my mind. Where it's like, Mom said it's my turn with Lelouch. Okay.
Neo, how about you? How did Evelyn find its way into this tournament?
Yeah, so in the first CCRC, I was on a team called Mogties, which was a lot of the members that are currently on Eidolon, which is like Vistel, Celeste, uh, just those two left? Maybe. Yeah, it was those two, a couple others, and also Merlin. So we got hit by the same curse Jiglin did, where our sign up didn't go through, unfortunately. Um, I was pretty, I was pretty saddened by that. So ever since then, I've been pretty motivated to try to make it to this one and see how far we can get.
And finally, we have Buzzy, for whom this is the second finals and the first championship. How did you guys end up? Because if I'm getting this right, you guys are a mix of Wolfas and Verkidens, right?
Wolfus, GDT, and then I guess H2O slash Rickens. I'm like the only one from those teams, but yeah. But yeah, it's always been something I had in like the back of my mind for like the past 3 years, especially since the last CCRC.
Mhm.
I think that last CCRC kind of left a bad taste in my mouth, only because I was so new to the game. By the way, like I think leading up to CCRC, I was only playing CC for like 2 months because I started in season 5, like in the middle of that, right? But I think my motivation or our motivation for CSC, I guess, went into overdrive when CCRC or NACC 2025 happened, because that kind of just confirmed to me and the rest of our team that CCRC is most likely getting announced, right? So it was always just been something we were working towards for like the past year until it was announced.
All right. So once it was confirmed that you were in, what was the prep process like? How, like, most of you were that already existed were already screaming, but I would guess that you ramped it up a little bit. Um, so let's start again by the newer teams. Let's start by Butlers. How did you decide to prepare for this?
If I remember right, it was running around like headless chickens and deciding to just wing it. Because we were kind of a clown car, we didn't really know like how we were gonna get this together. From what Levy told me, he was just looking for people with the right vibes. So we were mostly looking to just like have fun, but like improve the most we can. I think we did try like scrimming teams, but then we were like, this is too frustrating. Let's just grab some friends, throw them on the other team, and fight them instead. So it was like a bit of locked in seriousness, but also again kind of just there to have fun.
John, how about us? I know that it was mostly me in charge for that, but how do you remember our prep from like the other perspective?
Apologies. Yeah, I called it a boot camp before, and it kind of was. Um, since I think for Winter Bloom, the only people that really had LP experience were you and Rashiel, and then uh, myself. Like I was always more on the like, event hosting and organization side of things. We lucked into some good vibes with some people that we hit up to ask. I remember because we were kind of, if I remember correctly, um, you'd asked me. I was like one of the first people that you asked if you wanted to be on the team, and then
Mhm.
we were both kind of reaching out to people. We kind of lucked into some people with good vibes and a desire to learn. And I can't speak for your intentions in the beginning of, like maybe like you were just doing it because you had made it a goal that you were going to compete in CCRC, but LP had been something that I'd always wanted to do and hadn't really had too much of a chance to get into. And so once I found that everybody's chemistry kind of clicked, I started thinking, okay, this could be really good long term, even if we don't really perform that great compared to some of these other teams right now. It's a solid foundation. Um, and so while it was rough, getting beat up in scrims, listening to Alke's beleaguered sighs every time I exploded in an opener, or Rashiel telling me like, "You don't put out enough pressure." Everybody tells me this. It was pretty fun. It was a fun experience.
Let's go on to Thomas. I believe you were already kind of logged in. Did you guys like tune it up? Did you continue on your usual stuff? I heard rumors that you guys were screaming like 4 times a week.
The I always end up doing this, and I honestly I know it's always a risk of burnout. I kind of wish I'd turned it up a little bit earlier. We especially since we kind of talked about doing CCRC around the Community Cup. It's actually plenty of time to start preparing. But it's so easy to kind of fall back that what we ended up doing is there was a few times there we would scrim maybe like once a week, maybe once every other week, um, where it didn't feel like any of it kind of stuck. We did a few tournaments as well, but it's all through custom in-house scrims. That's primarily where you regulate how we prepare for it, and the coming up to the last like 2 to 3 weeks, I think we were scrimming like every day, literally. Um, and it kind of feels like one of those like, oh fuck, I forgot my homework and then I have to go do it. But like it was like one of those moments where the tournament's like right around the corner. We want to be ready for it. So I ended up like scheduling pretty much every single day that I could. Um, and it really goes back to that. Uh, I I guess like I'll give like a shout out to Fina, Lyric, and Eris Valens for a lot of support with the Fina specifically for like scheduling, and then everything else for those last 2 weeks for just the assistance with the team portion of it. Just for scheduling specifically because it's not easy, or I shouldn't say it's not fun. Scheduling is the worst part of scrims.
I
For
agree.
sure.
Fact, dude. So true.
I believe Amma has a lethal allergy to administrative duties.
I very much do so. Especially considering that like mid CCRC, like I was working 3 jobs, so I didn't want to get involved in that aspect. So shout out to
On
Tamari for handling a lot of our scheduling.
Marry the Goat. On that note, how were screams for you? Like, I don't remember what it was like for you guys ramping up to that.
For us, it was mostly like our preparatory work was a lot of like VOD reviews when we had scrims. big shout outs to thank you to Merlin Atreus and as well as Oswald. Like they maintained a very regular schedule with us, and them being very balanced and reputable teams, like it provided a lot of good data to look into. We'd have fights where we'd have scrims where we would be able to take we'd get our butts beat, and then it's like, okay, we managed to take a couple matches, so let's look at the data, like what went proper for us, what were we doing wrong, and then there's other times where we were able to take a set or something, and so that overall maintaining consistent scrim partners, I think was a major positive thing for us preparing, because the nature of LP, it can be a little inconsistent. So having consistent scrim partners was a major thing for us, simply because it gave us something to constantly adjust to. So it's like, okay, last Tuesday or whatever scrim we had, it's like, okay, we lost pretty majorly here. Let's look at the footage. What happened? What can we adjust? And then we would make those adjustments, because guess what? We're fighting that same team next Tuesday, right? So so major thank you to Valiance Stooges, for giving us really steady partners, and Tomes as well, because Tomes gave us a lot of good fights with Gnosis as well. This allowed us to basically just keep pressing our buttons. We didn't ramp up too hard. But we had a consistent, steady schedule, and we maintained the course on that. The only difference is that we started adding a little more scrutiny into what we were doing in regards to VOD reviews and the sort.
How about you, Oswald? Because you mentioned that your roster kind of underwent major changes. So how was the prep process for you guys?
Yeah, so
I wanted to add something real quick on that. Speaking of the changes as well, had that on my end. So Oswald, big handshake to you as well, because I know you were going through the same junk I was.
yeah, that was a whole ordeal for sure. But I guess this is a bit of background. When I say changes as well on the team, it that goes pretty far back for Valiance period, because we started as I think a year and a half ago now, if not longer, as it's an entirely different team, and I'm the only member left of that original roster. And just as time kind of went on, we just got more members, and then we just kept swapping people out. And on top of that was our shot caller dynamic. That was also a big one that had to change. Um, and I'm hearing other people, people talking about how they're thanking other people on the team for delegating work, or for taking on work to help with managing the team. And that was something that Valiance actually had to talk about after CCRC, because I was doing everything to manage the team, from leading VOD reviews to shot calling to also scheduling for our team. And that was just a lot to deal with all at once. And in regards to scrimming volume and scrimming type, I think we scrimmed the most we've ever done as well during CCRC season. There's a time where I had us booked for 5 days with two different sets on the same day. We were working super hard and feeling out what we could do for our roster. It was a lot of fun, but in hindsight, it was also a lot of work. And I think the hardest obstacle for me as team captain was figuring out who we were going to play on the day of. If you have 7 people all ready and raring to go to do their best for the competition, it's a very difficult position to be the one that says, okay, but this is who we're gonna bring, right? And I think that experience in particular has stuck out to me the most in CCRC, on top of just playing the matches. But the team management is very, very complicated.
Before going on to asking Audit what Stooge's experience was like, I have a small confession to make about Valiance. Everybody knows me as Stooge's biggest fangirl, but Valiance is very high on my book of I love this team. To the degree where I made my own personal prediction chart. I had you guys in semis. I was so disappointed when you lost.
Oh, don't worry, me too. But no, I mean, Eidolon was just a beast. They were just crazy. You watch the
Those-
footage back. Neo was actually carrying the entire game. I think.
Seriously.
It was insane.
But yeah, I found out that you guys were screaming that much, and I was like, yeah, they're they're going to outperform everybody. And honestly, like it just kind of speaks to the level of quality games that Adlumin put on. In that you guys just pushed the game to its absolute limit. I love those games. And on that note, Audit, I know that I'm not entirely sure you Idolman as well, but you and GDT were, sorry, Eco City. I'm sorry, Buzzy, you have a terrible habit of naming your team similarly. Um,
Yeah.
Brew, call him out.
Oh no, you're chilling. I think I change it like every tournament, so it's all good. Whichever is the root team you want to refer to is
Get this
fine
guy a
with me.
brand manager.
Keeps it
That's what
fresh,
I'm
no
saying.
doubt.
Keeps it fresh.
Audit, I know that you and Bigotiri have sort of like similar dynamics in that you like scream a bunch, scream people from Korea, from Japan. I remember Pio bitching about waking up at 4 a.m. for screaming. How was prep
Oh,
like?
whatever. I'll talk to him about that later. No, you want to talk about? He never had to get up at 4 o'clock. First of all, I had to get up at 7 a.m. All right. Anyway, we're getting off track. Yes. So yeah, no, we've had regular, like, since we started, we've had weekly scrims just about every week, barring our IRL exceptions. The China and European scrims didn't really start until later. For the most part, we were sticking to America, so I wouldn't really say we're super similar. We only recently got on that train. We have Sayori to thank for like getting us those contacts in China. But yeah, no, geez, a lot of history. We've been scrimming every week of like varying different levels of intensity. Most of the time, it's just kind of like, a couple times, whatever, not super serious. I would say we ramped up to our absolute like peak like intensity of scrim schedules was before preliminaries, like about a month or a month and a half before that. And then after that, we went downshifted pretty significantly, leading up to CCRC. We also went through roster changes for various different reasons, whether it was somebody you know couldn't keep playing, for whatever reason, or we had to very gently, politely bench someone. Because as we got closer to CCRC, like our mindsets sort of shifted as well. It was always about having fun with the boys, um, that never was not a thing for us. But as we got closer to CCRC, we knew we had to kind of like shift it up a little bit, take it a little more seriously, VOD review, and bring out the business side of things just a tiny bit more. But I can say, very happily that, there was never a moment where any like bad blood, arose, or like someone was just kind of like upset, or no friendships were broken in any of this process. And I think that's kind of huge. Besides that, I just want to say that I couldn't delegate anything to the Stooges. They're all useless. It was all me. Thank you very much. No, actually, Sayori was extremely instrumental in scheduling towards the end because, again, she was our connection to China.
Yeah.
And those games helped us kind of see like different perspectives of playing. So that was that benefit of that. But yeah, there's just so much to really say about the process. But that I would say that's kind of the summary.
Neo, your team is one of the few I don't have like intel on. How was prep for you guys? Because I know you were working extremely hard, but I have no idea with whom.
Yeah. So we practiced a lot against GDT leading up to the Valiance game. I think similar to the Stooges, what Atreus said, like we were probably in peak form against Valiance. That was probably our strongest. We put in probably like sometimes it was like 7 scrims. Like one time we had 8 scrims in 1 week, which is kind of insane. We were all locked in for a good portion of it. Gojo was a big help for us because having him on the team, it was like the missing piece where like after a scrim when if we did really poorly and someone asked, okay, like what went wrong, he's like the one with like the answers. Like even if isn't like the exact right answer, like he at least provided info, right? For me, it's like if my team asks me what we did wrong, I'm just like, I don't know. I see 3 people and I rend in, right? Like like I'm not really like I'm not like a theory guy per se. Like I have ideas, but like it was really nice having Gojo as like a second opinion because he has a lot of strong opinions about the game. So I think that really took us to like the next level. I would say he was really instrumental in helping us be competitive. Um yeah, we worked on a lot of stuff. Like we were grinding really hard. Um CCCC was where that was like the first time we ever actually locked in, and we had a lot of lessons to learn from that. Where like, because we said we were a for fun team, but then like because we just happened to also be pretty successful, like sometimes we brainwash ourselves into like trying too hard and forgetting that we're here to just have a good time and like prioritize our chemistry with each other over like I don't know like being good or whatever. So I was trying to be really careful this time, and as soon as I noticed my team wasn't like having as much fun, like we were getting stomped too many times in scrims, playing against too many strong teams, I would just say, okay, like screw it, let's just have fun this time and not worry so much about playing properly and just try to let loose a bit because first and foremost we wanted to protect our enjoyment of the game. So that was kind of the mind state we were in heading into Anaheim, which is why maybe we didn't play as disciplined, but in the end, like we don't have any regrets about it, right? Like Buzzy's team, they grinded hard the entire time. They knew what they were signing up for, and I think they deserved the win, and we're happy with where we ended up.
I have a couple of questions for Neo as well when we're good for work.
Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
So the one of them is actually kind of like you mentioned that you were scrimming Big Goat City before prelims, right?
Yeah.
The between then and the finals, was it like a different Big Goat City, or I don't know if that's a good question. Like if you're okay with answering that or not, or is it kind
Okay.
of like expected? Like, is it similar to how it felt with the?
So I think Ori is a phenomenal shot caller, and he makes a big difference for their team. Uh, so I would say there is a difference, but only because they fielded him more often in like the later scrims. So early on when they were scrimming us and prepping us for Anaheim, like he wasn't there a lot of the time, and during that time I think the scrims were a lot more competitive. But once he showed up, their decision making just kind of all like collapses into something really efficient and quick, and that became a lot harder for us to deal with. So yeah, that would be my answer.
The other one is I have heard that before. I guess this might have been a for fun scrim, but I heard all of Eidolon was chasing down a retiring player Reyna's. Is that true?
Yeah, he's a really valuable asset that we really wanted. But unfortunately, he decided to run away and be a coward, so we didn't get him.
Oh, okay. I'll
Yeah.
have a word about that.
Shout down to Reyna's, opposite of a shout out.
I did want to say something because Nia was talking about Gojo, and it did remind me of a prominent player who really did shift things around for Valiant as well. And I do want to shout out my boy Dandelion. I think him joining Valiant's changed our game completely as well. Neo mentioned something about like how he didn't really have a player that was very tactical or was very like critical of how the game works in theory, and I was definitely much the same. I kind of just vibe cover people and go, all right, kill this guy next. But Dandy is the one that actually really had us talking about like every single button and every single move that we had to make in the game. So definitely wanted to shout him out too, because we wouldn't have gotten as far as we did without him.
All right. The more we talk, the more it seems all roads do actually lead to you, Buzzy. How was prep for you guys?
Shit. Honestly, it's been the same like how everyone else was describing it. It's just the usual practice, but we just increased like the intensity and quantity, more so the quantity, which just means like more scrims, more body views, and more solo queue. Except for me, because I'm like notorious for not being a solo queue player. That's kind of like my biggest fault when it comes to CC, but I guess I make up for it with scrim time, right? But I guess even furthermore, I think due to the scarcity of teams in NA, especially after prelims, we kind of had to increase the parameters of the types of teams we'd scrim, right? So that's where we fell into scrimming more teams in other regions, such as like EU, JP, China. Shout out TV fans. But yeah,
If it's okay to ask, who did all the scheduling for Big Goat City?
oh bro,
For
it's
like
all man. Well, actually, Ori was our connection for like the JP teams, but it was just fucking all me, man. Oh,
Is it? Are you glad that that's done? Are you glad to be done? Well,
I'm not done,
at
bro. I
least
still
that
gotta do that
level,
shit
that
for
level,
afterwards.
that level
But
of like prelims and everything. I don't know if you toned it down or anything, or
oh
if you're still how that's going.
no, yeah, we definitely toned it down, but yeah, like I think my favorite thing when it came to scheduling was actually scheduling weeklies, because that's just like one day I don't have to worry about like checking on people, right? You can just turn my brain off and just check the schedule. It's like, yep.
Good point. Shout out to anyone that schedules weekly and
Oh yeah.
schedules constant
Yeah,
every
that-
week.
oh yeah.
Shout
Thank
out
you, bro.
Eidolon, shout out Stooges.
Yeah,
Totally.
big shout out, dude.
All right.
While
Well,
we're while we mentioned TK fans like three times already, I need to shout out my boy Vilas, best player in the world. All right, anyways, continue.
It's the goat. Hateful Pass.
Yeah, and Hateful Pass. Shout out Hateful Pass.
Shout out Hateful Pass. I love you.
Before going on about the actual games, I want to take a moment real quick to talk with Brian and Merlin, specifically about you guys being involved on the other side, on the production side of CCRC. You guys both have really long freaking histories in PvP in this region. But for you, one goes further past. That would be you, Brian, and Merlin. You are kind of the newcomers, so I kind of want to come at you guys with different questions. Brian first. I know that you have been involved with this competition since basically their onset. Um, I would like to know, however, a little bit more about the story about like how did it always come to be you and Frosty? How did you become that duplet casting? I believe he was around all the way back to Feast, if I'm not wrong. Correct me if I'm
Y-
wrong.
Yeah, you're correct. I was a competitor first, so I did personally play in the FRC. I had a team Amp. I was a leader with Sir Zarek. We were kind of like co-leaders, but basically the story is he had a team even before them called Team Practice. And feast teams only need like 4 people. Sometimes people will have a fifth for like fill and stuff, but it was just for unofficial stuff. This is before FRC. There was only unofficial stuff that people like +1 would put on, and Sir was Sir's fourth, his range player, um, wanted to play on Primal with a different team. So back when they were starting to announce FRC and stuff like that, he was looking for a fill, and he reached out to me on my stream. He was like, "I think we need a range player." And back then I was a range main. I used to play Machinist in like season 5 Feast really early in, and so that's how it came to be. We just went and practiced. Feast is so much different than CC days. Not a lot of teams. I think maybe like 4 or 5 at best. And when it comes to other regions, it was really hard to play with them because you have to love your character and there's no data center travels. You have to be in the same exact server. You have to make alts in those servers. So it was really difficult to play with other regions. But we made it work as best as we can. And yeah, we ended up playing FRC. We got second place, pretty close. It was like 3-2 at the end. And yeah, that's pretty much how it started in Light Party. And when it came to commentating, I was commentating unofficial events around that time. And it just led to me doing CC stuff when CC came out.
But how did it's always you and Frosty, which is like I did try to reach out to him, but I like you know that I spent 10 hours on an airplane yesterday, so I did not have the time to.
Yeah, so we did get to
Um,
meet. That was super
yeah.
cute. So for official stuff, the commentators generally was Frosty and +1.
Mhm.
Yeah, just like for FRC and actually Frosty would do EU tournaments as well. Him and +1. Um, I guess for CC they decided to change things around. They had different people. They have Rook and Lithy for EU now, and then they added me for NA. How did it come to be? Well, they just emailed me. Really, that's how it was. Um, I was I did work with SC at like um, conventions and stuff. So like when they have a booth at like PAX East and PAX West, I would be there, like just helping them out, promote the game, teaching new
Mhm.
players, things like that. This was like 2018, 2019, 2020, and then CCRC was 2023, and the Community Cup was like 2022.
Mhm.
And then, yeah, they just emailed me around that time, and yeah, I was like a heck yes. I was already unofficial commentating events, and it's something I really wanted to do.
Very cool. Thank you. And now to Merlin. Like I said, you are kind of the newcomer to the production team. I actually do not I looked this up, but I could not find any information. I have no clue who handled cameras for the last CCRC. I'm glad that they kind of decided to up their game by choosing a talented set of eyes like you. But I'm nonetheless curious about how did you end up being our eyes in the sky? Like how was that interaction? How did that happen?
So it hasn't really processed yet. I'm still waiting to like wake up a little bit and be like, what the hell? Um, they did reach out to me to do duty commenced in October. I think they realized that I've been like around, and I had worked with Frosty for the streamer bash. I don't know the exact name, the one where they played Bayside.
Yeah, when Besa was here.
Maybe yeah, maybe some word of mouth from Frosty helped a lot there. I'm not entirely sure. To answer, I think the previous camera person, maybe Brian can help with this. I believe Frosty was doing commentary and the camera.
Yes, that is correct.
And
For CCRC 2023, he did the camera work. That was his gameplay POV on stage.
yeah, and that
That
is not
poor
easy.
man. No, I was
I
going
will
to
tell you.
say I've done that. That's horrible. Poor Frosty.
Yeah,
It
that's how
is
he did
not
it.
easy. I do know after the Community Cup, a lot of teams, myself included, when I was on Stooges as a competitor, we gave a huge feedback form, essay. I think a lot of teams did to Seeker. Shout out to Seeker. And maybe it dawned on them that maybe this is an opportunity to like find someone to help with that. I'm not sure if that was Frosty starting the conversation there. I don't really know. But then one day they reached out to me and I like squinted my eyes and I'm like, screen. It's like, what? Me? Very, very. It's hard not to feel
It's
like it's crazy. I don't know.
it's definitely a lot of that. I did learn that the Japanese staff actually like Merlin as well, like the Japanese community team, because they
Mm.
see you go to like the scrims on Sosu side, and they see you talk a lot and stuff with the Japanese community. So they did notice you from that as well.
I appreciate you saying that because even that to me feels very surreal because ever since the beginning, and even we mentioned plus one, if it wasn't for plus one, I would not be here. If it wasn't for Atreus, I wouldn't have continued playing. And I owe it a lot, specifically those two people, for keeping me going this far. And then, what's in season one, Wolves League, like I knew right away I wanted to cultivate and be involved in the scene somehow. And then somewhere along the way, people just started like listening to me and like I guess I was like,
Mhm.
oh okay. I don't know. I it's crazy that it all kind of ended up here. Uh they did tell me like a little bit ahead that I could not do both. I couldn't be a competitor and work with the Square side of things. And at the end of the day, I decided to go with the route that made the scene better as a whole because I do think visually it is so hard. Unless you're a player, you don't know what the hell's going on the screen. Let's just be fair here. When you pop Picto OB, Astro OB, Bards in Narnia, and Picto can do 20 billion damage from 40 yards away, I needed to make sure whatever I could do, if it was for the scene as a whole, like the betterment of everything, to make it like more visually understandable and whatever it is, I would, apply what I could for the betterment of the scene, make it more entertaining, etc., and like try to help people along the way understand what the hell is going on. I have been hosting many tournaments now with the invitationals, with all the guard breaks. I've been staff before with just about every Discord we know. Goodbye, whoever that was. And somewhere I was just like, I'm just gonna do the camera because even I was getting annoyed with previous camera work from other past events that we've seen, and I'm just like, okay, like there's something here. Let me see what the hell I can do. Unfortunately, the spectator it's not perfect. I hope that they can address some things in the future, but we'll see. Um, yeah, it's been kind of this crazy ride, and I will always be extremely humbled and like appreciative that I even got the opportunity to be there for the tournament.
Related,
Yeah, yeah. But they reached out to me. I ultimately made a decision to be involved where I could, and they asked me to do camera, and I'm just like, well, shit, like this is such a crazy opportunity, right? Like I never would
Yes.
in a million years. I've been playing since 1.0. I never would have expected to have this chance, and yeah, I will always be super super appreciative of it. There's nothing that anybody can say. Like it kind of went full circle, and it's fucking crazy that it even happened. Forgive my language.
Merlin on call.
Merlin on call.
Merlin on call.
Merlin on call.
One of the
I
best
think-
memes that come out of it.
Absolutely. I actually want to mention, I think the NA community has such collective appreciation for you that we were all super happy to have, quote unquote, one of us on that side, making sure that because we knew that you were going to put out super high quality
Mhm.
overview.
I'm happy
of
you
the
say
game.
that real quick. And I'm actually going to pause it right there. You said one
Mhm.
of us. And I think a lot of people forget that part, even with Brian. We're just players, just like,
Yes.
or we were, right? Like, and people forget that part. I'm not like, I can try to be as professional as I can be, but at the end of the day, I'm a 14 player and I love the game just as much as everybody else. And a lot of people forget that.
Agreed.
Just wanted to
I
mention.
I think one of the major things though is that you as a person, Merlin, you're a very meticulous and I wouldn't say like obsessive in an offensive way, but more like it's just like you're obsessed with like the quality of PvP, the quality of what you do. Like you're very hands on, like, and you really like dive deep into like a lot of things. So like when I heard that you were like going on staff, like I thought that was a great addition too because like Frosty and Brian have like very good like you could call it like the showmanship aspect of things. But when it comes to like a lot of the like you're hyper technical on a level that's like a little absurd even. So I think you were a fantastic addition because like even if you're not on the forefront as much, like you are the spectator and whatnot, like those movements that you were making in regards to trying to like capture certain aspects because of that deep understanding that you have of like macro and micro of the game, like I think it really shows and it brings a very good quality to like the spectators. And like if it gives Frosty a break from having to, if Frosty has to pilot a camera and talk at the same time, that's brutal, dude. So no, you're a
Absolutely.
fantastic addition, brother.
Definitely. Also before for like quarterfinals and stuff in the events before that, we had Merlin as like analytics or like post game chat basically. And I really wish we had that on stage as well, but
Oh no,
we
100%.
couldn't. Yeah.
I we need that a lot more often. I think uh I would like to just see that in the future is that I would like to see more just like that obviously it's going to be a huge step up in quality, but if there was an ideal world, it would definitely be like like replays certain like things that happen and discussions over it, and then hopefully one day too, just like a more involved ecosystem than what we have right now.
Yeah. I hope I represented myself well. I see, like, being the new person, I need to just, like, be a little more careful and just build a connection and, like, trust first, right? So,
I will say from a spectator's point of
Mhm.
view, like everyone, Brian, you, Merlin, Frosty, like the presentation was really good. Like I thought it was great.
Yes. I'm glad you're mentioning that actually. Some people here know that I was casting semis and finals in Spanish. Two things that are relevant to this are one that at some point I mentioned that I was very glad that it was Merlin controlling the camera because Merlin has extremely good game sense. You kind of the game a little bit how I hope to see it one day, in that you kind of are thinking one step ahead, both in terms of what you want to do and what you think is going to happen on the other team. And in the camera, that translates to knowing how to move the camera to show the action where it's happening or where it may happen in the next few seconds. And that's actually brutally difficult to like learn to do. I know that's something that you have been working on over several tournaments to improve sort of your craft. But it's something that is it wasn't something that you just came to be able to do as a spectator. You own that as a player, and it like I don't know, like your brain's eye works really well when we are seeing it. Is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, to add to that, I was the main shot caller for Stooges while I was on the team after, like, me and then me and Peel found a balance at some point, so that obviously had a lot to do with it. because I'm in like I can see how players what they're looking at. I can see the play before it happens. And hopefully that showed a lot.
But the
And
other, go ahead, Brian.
I was gonna say another big part of it is he has to basically follow what I say as play by
Mhm.
play, and
Yeah.
he does that extremely well. And he does a lot of like wide shots, so he pretty much never misses anything really.
Yeah, that's the other thing I wanted to mention. Like you guys, as um, I get, I guess you could call yourself the main shoutcaster, not sort of like the commentary, but like the guy that's like highlighting the action
Play
and
by
why it's
play.
happening. The play-by-play. Thank
Yeah,
you
yeah.
very much.
Mhm.
That's what I mean. Um, so it's kind of like seeing the front side and the back side of it in you guys working together. But the other thing that I was thinking about was specifically how you guys presented yourself. Another thing I mentioned on the Spanish side stream was how Merlin looked dressed to do his job, whereas you and Frosty looked like wedding at 6, casino at 8. It was really funny. I loved it.
Well,
I did
Frosty
a
was in
trial.
cosplay.
Yeah, Frosty was dressed up as
Oh yeah,
Madam.
As
Madam.
Madam, I know, I know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so like I think that was actually like a really badass decision because like when I first got into the Arcadian raids, I was like, God dang, we need this in PvP. And so like having
Right.
Frosty do that was like pretty goated, dude.
Yeah, he needs to
I will add
announce
a
PvP. Like,
I will add a fun sprinkle. Brian doesn't know this yet. Yesterday, I trialed for a static to do Kefka, and somebody was asking, "Who's the guy in red?" I'm just gonna say it.
Oh my
And,
god!
if nobody knows about it. This happened last night and during my trial for Kefka.
That's funny. So last
Mm.
CCRC for a long time, people kept saying, "Oh, you were the guy in pink." So I'm gonna get you're the guy in the red this time.
You're gonna become the colors guy, Brian.
I mean, that's what I do. I love bright colors. That's what I do all the time.
All right, let's go on to the next question. I want to start talking a little bit more about the experience of game day, which is going to be drastically different from like quarters to semis. But let's go on with it. Let's go on with quarters first. John, what was since you were relatively new to LP at that point? What was your experience going on on your first matches?
Little fish, big ocean, I guess, was kind of how it felt. Like I've been watching almost all of the people on other teams for other events, like watching people compete in the private tournaments, watching people compete at Community Cup, and some of them in the last CCRC. So for me personally, it was pretty intimidating. Yeah, I guess that's about it. Like it was just like, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, the entire ride. It was a lot of fun, though. At the same time, you know, I was anxious to uh, dig in, get into the fights, and try to apply some of what people had coached me on. Like things that Merlin told me, things that you told me, things Rashiel told me. And I think that I can safely say that it was probably about the same feeling for some of the other members on the team. It was a trial by fire. So I don't recall anything specific necessarily from the quarterfinals, except for that we got obliterated pretty quick.
Honestly, if I remember correctly, we didn't even have time to do like a tournament ahead of anything. Like we screamed our hearts out for 5 weeks and hoped to do our best. But speaking personally, I didn't really have high expectations progressing because our one of the issues that we identified really quickly was that our team skill and experience disparity was too big. So it just very quickly became a matter of we do what we can, we do our best, and we are satisfied with the result. And as for me personally, I just wanted to be part of CCRC with friends at that point. I have mentioned that if it had not been for this team, I just would have quit altogether. I do remember, however, feeling kind of mixed feelings because I mentioned this in other places. Most of the people, save for a couple of the new teams that signed up for this, are to a certain degree mentors, and getting to fight them in this context kind of felt like a final test to me, which is very weird considering from the perspective of like a team uh, esport. Like just kind of trying to prove that I have learned and I have improved as a player was both very nerve wracking but also very satisfying because I knew that people were watching. So I don't know, like I speak about this in terms of like who I am as a medium level player, probably not even medium, like starting to crack that plateau. But it was something I was very nervous about. Um,
Yeah, we like we had kind of said before, like you and Rashiel both had plans to compete that went back a lot farther than our team existed. So there's definitely an aspect of it where like even I wonder like, okay, well how could have they like how good could they have done if they were on a different team, because it was a pretty significant debuff having some people with almost no LP experience, like not even going to events. So I remember that was something that was on my mind a lot. I wanted to do. I shouldn't say me. All of us did. Like we had talked about it quite a bit as a team. Like we wanted to do our best for you guys because we knew that it was something that was important to you. We did do a tournament leading up to it. We did do one of the Rising Stars Invitationals. It went.
all right, yeah.
Yeah, I went completely winless in that. But things work out the way they do, and we didn't get past the quarters, but it was a good experience, and it kind of like it brought a lot of us together with goals for long term. And so while we did not progress very far into CCRC, we're still grinding at it every week.
I will want to add in real quick, since you said brought you guys together and the experience aspect of it. If you recall back to what other people have been saying, people have been looking forward to this for a long time. Or the last CCRC fueled all of that towards this one. So now, in the same way, you can use this one to set up your flag post for the next one, right? I know
Yeah, absolutely. That is
Yeah.
our plan. That is our goal, and it's something that we're all in sync with. Looking forward
I'm
to it.
actually glad Merlin brought this up because one of the reasons they had to leave for ice cream, but one of the reasons why I invited butlers, now Renestan, is because one of the things I personally look forward to seeing is more new faces. Not to say that that you all cranky old veterans are I have no negative feelings towards any of you guys, but I think we are kind of sailing out, and I would hope that we in the future get to see more people. Shout out, by the way, to Neo's league. Is it still in your hands, Neo?
Yep. Means Mario.
Okay.
Premier League.
I will leave a link to it somewhere in the description and in the screen, but
Appreciate that.
it's sadly kind of rare that teams made for this specific experience survive to go on to the next. We don't see newcomer teams survive much longer than 6-8 months, sometimes even not even that. So I'm very happy to be coming back to Winterbloom to like get ready for the next one. But also, one of the things that a few of you have mentioned is the experience of like getting to do this with friends and have fun and like just show your progress rather than going in for all the chips is something that I sadly did not get to experience my first time around because I was too focused on like showing my worth as a player. I am very much looking forward to like actually getting to have fun and like enjoying playing with friends this time around. But anyway, that's all from me. I do want to go on to asking the same experience to you, Tomes. What was I believe you guys dropped off in quarters in after a very hard fought match. How was your first couple matches for you guys?
Very unfortunate DC in not
Mm,
our on our side, but on the other side, and we were able to win off that. But at the same time, it's definitely probably feels way worse for them than it does for us. But we still ended up able to take the game afterwards when they had map pick. In general, the matches were pretty good. I think looking at it from my realistic standpoint, like I think we needed probably another like year in the oven before we really started taking on like higher level teams. Um, and the fact that we're in the same bracket as Big Goat City, I think anyone that was in that same bracket had the same mindset of like you're probably not going to get the finals, like the finalists, the or what was it, quarters? Is that technically quarters?
yes.
But we're probably not going to make it there at the same time. We were still able to at least have some good games on camera, which is the um, unfortunate one that DC'd, but then the one after that one was pretty good. It's kind of like a weird. I always feel like this with these games where, especially with how um, last CCRC went, that it always feels like there's like something. I want to feel like as far in terms of gnosis that we've earned something where it's not like we're gifted something, and it's really unfortunate that we had a DC in one of our games, but it's a it's kind of a haps. But the um in general, we were happy with the performance throughout the whole tournament. It kind of went exactly as I expected as far as like the whole thing. Um, but I have no complaints about what we were able to kind of get through.
How about you, Oswald? I believe Valiance, after totally kicking our asses, went on to take a map from Eidolon, but then lose to one on quarters. What were your thoughts knowing that you were going to face Neo on that day?
Um, from my perspective, I think Eidolon has always been like the team that has been even with us. Whenever I think about it, like Valiance versus Eidolon, it almost always feels like a 50-50. Even historically, when I think about our games in the past, it's always felt like um, it could really go either way. So I was really, I mentioned it earlier. I didn't sleep at all the night before. I just couldn't. I was legit having like visions in my mind of Neo rending someone, and my heart would just like spike. Like my heart rate would spike, my eyes would shoot open, and I'm like thinking about what do I do after the cover. Like it's just like my mind was racing. So the lead up to the game was insane. The game itself, it was crazy. I can't really describe how the nerves felt, and I definitely knew it was a disadvantage to be in our first CCRC run ever. Um, especially as the team leader, because there's a natural burden on your shoulders when you're the one that has brought the team to that point in terms of management, in terms of scheduling. You're in the middle of the game and you're just trying not to think about it, but every scrim, every call, every choice you make, it starts to feel like it's everything in the moment, and it's a surreal experience. When we won the first map just barely in the overtime, I screamed. I have the soundbite somewhere. I could share it later on, but I smashed my chair and I like screamed that we won the first game, and the second and third were very close. But like that was a very great experience overall, and I think the main thing I really want to take away is that in the moment you really do realize like how much nerves impact you. And when Merlin was talking about now you could use this CCRC to propel you for the next one, I could definitely see that. um I could definitely imagine a world where now I would feel more prepared for the next CCRC, but we'll have to see when we get there because 3 years is a long time. um and who knows what might happen between now and then. uh I guess
Or
a little
we
bit
find a
more.
sponsor. We have a CCRC in Vegas, and it needs to go to
I guess I just wanted to touch on one more thing because we were the team that lost that matchup. Um, and I think like I wanted to kind of bring some light to that the experience of working insanely hard on something that I've never really pushed so hard on before, especially as a team. Like, oh man, it was crushing. It was definitely crushing to experience that loss. And in a lot of ways though, I do think it brought me closer to my team because it made me very honest with them about how to process all of that entire experience. Because that's life. You work super hard on something and you don't make it, but it's like, now what do you do next? You're surrounded by people who worked hard with you, and now you're all figuring out the next step, and it's very interesting to say the least.
I'm actually glad you brought that up because in this chat there are both winners and losers at very high levels. I'm curious, especially seeing as we had people losing at semis and finals here. How do you process in the moment the fact that let's start with Neo for first, but I would also like to ask this of Audit. How do you process being there, being at such a high level, like potentially representing the best of the best in North America, and you've done your absolute best, but someone else took the W. How do you feel in the moment, and how do you process it afterwards? Let's start with you.
Yeah, that's an interesting question because for me and our team, I feel like we don't really think of it that way. So, like, obviously, I like winning and I enjoy winning, and we do our best to do it, but we've always kind of put like our comfort first and our enjoyment of the game first.
Mhm.
And we see like our enjoyment of the game as something to protect over everything else. So we've never really been in a situation where we worked really hard and we fail to meet expectations and we feel super down about ourselves. Like there's been moments obviously, right? Like, sometimes we lose to like a newer team or we feel like we played really bad and it's like, oh man, we've been together for this long and we're playing like this. But I don't know. I just feel like we're pretty resilient in that regard. Um, because we like this sounds really bad, but we never really set expectations that high. You know what I mean? We just
Mhm.
enjoy playing together, and luckily for us, it just happens that we have good synergy. So I'm really thankful to be part of the team that I can say that for.
Um,
Yeah, did he cut out?
I believe he cut
Wait, did I
out.
cut out?
You cut out, yeah.
Oh, what was the last thing I said?
That you were thankful for, and then it just blinked out a bit.
Oh, that's it.
Okay.
Oh, sick.
Yeah. Period.
I
That's
for
it.
a second I thought my internet had gone out, so I'm a little bit relieved.
Yeah.
Audit, how about you guys? Because I know you painted it like it's a Stooges moment, but like, what were you guys feeling as a team? I one of the reasons I really like you guys as a team is not necessarily that I feel you brush this off, but rather that you are there for the enjoyment you get doing this with your homies. But I know that there's something a little bit deeper than that. How how did it feel in the moment, and how did it feel afterwards?
I mean, similarly, we prioritize the enjoyment of each other's company and the fact that we were doing this experience together, like first and foremost, and then business second. I think all of us had maybe slightly different thresholds of like what we wanted out of CCRC, but I think first and absolute foremost, we wanted to go, like we wanted to make it, and that really explains like our scrim intensity leading up to the preliminaries. Um, and it dropping off kind of after, like after preliminaries we were on cloud nine, like we it felt like our hard work was like vindicated. We were just excited to go and spend time with our friends, and be a part of the event and just represent CCRC and PvP as a whole, like in the best way we know how. um and I would say, yeah, when we were there at CCRC, like I think it's about what we kind of expected. Like I said, people had different thresholds of what they wanted out of it, but I think we were stoked to be there, and again, just represent it as in the best way we knew how. People know us, we know ourselves. It was either going to be a great day or it was going to be a stooge moment. There's no in between really for it, and just knowing that about ourselves, um, it's easy to just get as much enjoyment out of the experience as possible, and I think that's where we really left off. There was a little bit of disappointment, of course, but I think I can only really speak for myself. Like I can only speak for my own performance, I can only speak for my own enjoyment, but I had a great damn time. And I think that applies to most of us.
It certainly looked fun from the outside looking in. Before we go on to the next question, Leslie, I want to ask because for your team specifically, I had no idea what to expect. I have filled for you guys and I have played against you guys. But I know that there were changes in your roster. There wasn't kind of like the big ramp up that one would have expected. So your trajectory in prelims and quarters was kind of like up and down, up and down. How were you feeling during prelims and quarters?
Mostly it's just I wanted to get it out of the way. That was like a constant feeling for a few of us. Like we were in the like yeah, like we made it as far as we did, but a lot of the aspect was like we were kind of already like I want to say done, but we were in a not nicer way to put it. It's like yeah, we're just kind of done. Like me and a few core members were just like hey, like we're not happy with how the game has been turning out as of late, like in regards to
Mm.
like the current systems of meta, like the current like play state, etc. And as well as just like we have because I initially started the team like because I mean that's what Team Tomodachi is. Tomodachi being the word for like friends, right? So
Yes.
like at first it was just like I'm gonna get all my buddies in here and we're gonna just game. But at that point too, like everyone as humans and individuals, like they have their different levels of like expectations, the amount of work that they're willing to put in towards achieving a certain goal, and as well as just like I think like one key word that was touched on that I think works really well is just resilience, right? Like some people in regards to like how they handle not achieving certain expectations or things like that. So for me, like I think we did well, and like my goal was like if because like based on the bracket that we had, it was like okay, like I just want to make it far, and like like if anyone had to take my team out, I wanted it to be Stooges, and so we achieved
Oh,
that, and I was happy about that because like at least I could, this is a team that I have a very good relationship with overall. They've been a constant scrim partner for us as well in terms of like improvement. So like again, like if I had to lose to anyone, it would have been Stooges, and so like I'm very happy with that. Um, and I'm also very happy with just like yes, like we got eliminated, but it was fun. I For me, it taught me like a lot of really good, valuable lessons for like team captaining and like what I want in a team, and so like that also led to like me retiring team Let It Die, or not sorry, not Let It Die, Team Tomodachi as that particular brand, right? Like of like like oh just gonna get buddies and blah blah blah. Like that works, but again, different levels of hunger, different levels of resilience, different
Yeah.
levels of like motivations and stuff. And so for me, that was like a pretty big lesson of like what I want versus what other people want. And honestly, that was a good thing because it led to like me creating my next team, which is Let It Die. And had some adjustments there, had some like very specific adjustments to comp and how I want to play as well. Um, like meta be damned or anything like that. And then as well as, it also gave me the opportunity as well to pull in tones into that team. Cause like yeah, like some background, I guess, like from Gnosis, 2023, like after CCRC, like Gnosis took a pretty long break. And and again, this goes into that whole conversation of like, expectations, hunger, improvement and stuff like that. Like, and I didn't want to take a hiatus. So that's what like led me to joining other teams. So all in all, like the outcome was like, lost the Stooges, no biggie there, like very proud of that. And then got to support Stooges, go to Anaheim and freaking destroy my throat, screaming my like death metal screaming, Merlin on call, death metal screaming, let's go Atreus, things like that, dude. So um, had that like pleasurable experience, got to even see like, some of my team members who also went as well. And then the added additional like cherry on top that now I have a team that is formed under the new lessons that I've picked up over this like journey, and I feel that it's in a better spot. And we had that kind of discussion about like using CCRC as like the next, like you place your flag, right? You're like, I'm ready for the next one because like I'm very excited about seeing what's going to happen with this team and how that would play out because I feel a lot more confident in how it will operate moving forward.
Can I add to that really quickly?
Go
Sure.
ahead.
How do you guys feel about Community Cup then? Because y'all keep bringing up next CCRC, but there should be something before that.
I do enjoy the Community Cup, and I am super 100% down to participate in it. Um, Community Cup is good, and it's something that I'm also looking forward to. The only thing, like my only commentary, and it's not even like a negative thing, is like, dude, we need way more of that. Like, I think honestly, like we need a more regularly scheduled events, because I think
Absolutely.
I think half of it is not that we're not excited for it. It's just that like it's so sparse that like we don't we don't really think about it. We think about the major one, which is CCRC, right? But
Yeah.
like so that's like kind of like skips our mind a little bit. But honestly, like I would love a more regular cadence of like events like that. To I think that would be like a very good like stimulant to the PvP player
Yeah.
economy in a matter of speaking. Because when we have these events so far and few in between, like this is why like I feel that we hit like these levels of like it happened in 2023 too. Like after CCRC, like there's a PvP drought, right?
Yeah.
It's hard to schedule, it's hard to find teams. Like so, I think with like regular events that are not just from us as the community, like it's from like a SE official perspective in a manner of speaking. Like I think that would be so fantastic, and I'd love to see way, 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 way more of that. I would what I would like to see in the future, because like we have like fantastic individuals like Merlin, Neo, John, like everyone who has been involved in like actually Gitson, another really good example. Individuals who have like put their hat in the ring for like stimulating that PvP economy and getting events going live for that. Like if anything, like I would love to see hopefully in the future that if it is a lot of responsibility, if they don't have like the bandwidth, is to get like
Let us take
verified.
over.
Yeah, not exactly a takeover, but at least a verified like known community individuals so that they can like volunteer to help take some of that load off, and that it can operate like semi-officially and get a little more
Uh-huh.
like view on it rather than us just like promoting amongst each other.
I
I
mean,
could see
just look
I
at
could see
John
that.
over here.
Yeah.
John,
Yeah.
sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say yeah. I think it's likely because like Merlin's already in. It's just a
Yeah.
matter of like when and how. I think.
I
Yeah.
think
No, I agree.
I think we all have our way of trying to stimulate the community to continue growing, and like my way of doing so is creating content to bring the interest of new people in via sharing the experiences of people that have been in for a while already, covering events, that kind of thing. John does his weekly community roulette. It's on host tournaments. Rising Stars host tournaments, and they help the heck out of the community. Everybody has their way, but we are all disjointed, and we have no way of like actually helping the community reps do what they already want to do. I think that's one of the most frustrating parts of it. All right. I'm just realizing that I forgot to ask Buzzy. I'm especially curious about your experience about game day because like every single tournament I see you guys there. To a degree, I feel like you guys have the experience and the chops to back up being confident about what you're going to do. But what do you feel on game day? Because I feel like the experience has to be drastically different from what a beginner or a mid-level team is feeling.
Oh, dude, definitely. Like I've been around, right? I've experienced a lot of different teams as my time as an LP player for like the past like 3 years, right? I've experienced both the underdog and the overdog life, and I kind of understand the power that being an underdog gives to that team, right?
Mhm.
Especially one without aiming to lose. Like, many people play us and they always just assume they lose. But I think accepting that you're facing overwhelming odds and depending on your mentality can either be dreadful or a relief. It can make or break the team, right? It can be dreadful because you feel like anything you do won't matter, right? But the same goes for the contrary. Because you feel like anything you do won't matter, I think you should just play your best regardless of the results, right? Because what's gonna happen? What's the worst that can happen? If you're gonna lose, just play your best, right? And honestly, that is probably what shaped my CCRC 2023 experience the most with Verkins because the latter was my mentality. Like with Verkins, I honestly didn't even think we'd make it past Win Trade Friends / the quarterfinals, right? Like I honestly thought we'd just get swept by them because they swept us in scrims historically. But despite that, and despite me thinking that, I still decided to play my best. And as cheesy as it is, I don't really think anything is over until it's over, right? So I can think that we're gonna lose before we even play, but I don't truly believe it's over or that we've lost until the game is over, right? And I do think that did help both me and my team succeed and take us farther than we even anticipated because we did go to the grand finals and we took a map off of Wolfus. So yeah. But also on top of that, I've also mentioned to a lot of people, but I'm a big Haikyuu fan, right? I love Haikyuu. It's my favorite show. And it's also a show that has unironically shaped my mentality when it comes to competition in general. And I think one of my in the show, what was the quote? But I think a quote that has stuck with me was something along the lines of like, "Chance favors the prepared," right? And I think what that basically means is that success comes from both, or not both, but I think consistent preparation, observation, and also seizing the moments created by hard work, right? So, despite my team's odds of success in 2023, it was only through our hard work and effort that we were able to seize that small chance that we had and that we were given to take that team to the grand finals, right? And I think given this experience, I basically just treat every other team I face, every other team I face as like basically me. Like I've been in those shoes. I know what it's like to be an underdog. I know that if they have the right mentality, they can just take the game away from us, right? So I understand, especially on 20 day, that anything can happen. And I believe like the worst way to lose is losing when you're not playing your best. So I don't underestimate any team. I personally, at least, maybe my teammates do, but I personally never underestimate any team I face on 20 day. Because honestly, I think win or lose, what's more important is that you just put on a good show. And I do tell a lot of teams that whenever I try to hype them up on game days, like, yeah, don't worry about results, just put on a good show, right? And yeah, that's kind of just like my mentality for tourney.
To kind of add to that a little bit, because that like brought something in my mind, like that the win or lose type deal, like that kind of mentality is I think what me and Tomes operated on under Gnosis in 2023. Because like as you mentioned, like underdog mentality, like we were like a brand new team, so like not a lot of people really knew who we are, what we do, or anything like that. And our mentality was just like, hey, like whatever happens, like just go out swinging, right? And like with that, a little bit of favor and a little bit of prep, we made as far as we did as well.
Yeah, right? Like, who knows what happens? Like, honestly, like, you never know what happens until it happens. So just don't give up. Like, cheesy shit, right?
All right.
So leave nothing unsaid.
Exactly, exactly.
I have a question to our semis and finalist teams, which would be Idol and Stooges and Big Go City. I also want to mention that I reached out to team, but for personal reasons, they decided they would rather wait. Playing online and playing on stage has to feel very, very different. I do know that for a couple people in all teams, excepting my, I believe, Idol one, um, there were a couple second timers, but what did it feel like stepping on the stage? What was going through your mind? Let's start with Audit for this one.
Oh, what was going through my mind? Um, excitement and praying that the equipment functioned. Um, no, that was we, as you probably know, we had the setup day ahead of time where they gave us kind of a pretty solid amount of time to like upload our configurations, like all that kind of stuff. I personally had a bit of a hiccup that luckily was resolved later, but I would say just like nervousness that everything would function the way it does at home, because that's the major difference, right? You're not in your comfortable space, you're not in your room, it's not your hardware really. Like you got to bring your peripherals, but everything else is it feels very new. And obviously being on stage, like you're faced with an entire convention center full of people. It's a bit nerve wracking, but I think once we were all sat down, we were like logged in, our games were on, we were getting ready to go. It kind of felt like nobody was there anymore, at least for me. It was game time, and it started to feel like just any other like day scrimming or like a tournament at home. Um, it's so I don't know if some know this, but into 2016, I played in the Feast exhibition on stage at that FanFest. And that was nothing like it was today. Like it's come a long way, first of all. Like it was just their equipment. You had 5 minutes to just like set up your hot bars and, Godspeed, basically, while you were already on stage. This was so much more preparation, so much more consideration for the players. And just that prep day, like really put a lot of minds at ease as to like, okay, they honestly they care about like competitive integrity. They're not gonna to the best of their ability, they're not gonna leave people just kind of like screwed in terms of their control schemes, because if you have players who can't even like play correctly, then the entire integrity of the competition is done. Like it doesn't matter. You lost because there's control issues. I really felt a minimal amount of that. I do have some like feedback for them, but also it probably could have been solved on our end too. But like some of the sound uh wasn't super great in terms of like microphones and all that kind of stuff. But apart from that, it was smooth. It felt good. It felt like they cared, and I think that really put my mind at ease and a lot of like my teammates' minds at ease in terms of like sitting down and playing comfortably and just being excited for the event overall. And like I
Before
said,
go-
once we started playing, it was just another day of scrims.
Before going on to ask Neo the same question, I'm actually really glad that you mentioned this because this was something I wanted to bring up, but I didn't really find a way to ask this about all the players involved. One thing I will say for sure is that it felt like there was a step up in quality from 2022 to 2026. The involvement of Merlin, how Frosty and Brian were allowed to like work up towards like practicing their craft a little bit more rather than like just being thrown into the fray. The quality of the hardware, how all of the players, from those who were eliminated in prelims to those who won, were treated. It felt super respectful and super thoughtful. So I would like to shout out Sizeker because like she really is the patron saint of PvP as far as NA is concerned.
100%
She's the
Sightseeker really pulled
she's
through.
the real deal. Yeah, she's the real deal. 100%. I I don't know. We can make like a giant appreciation post. I was actually considering that myself. But if there was a person, you know, do this 100 times over, I will always choose Sightseeker for sure.
So Neo, how did it feel for you? Your
Yeah, definitely not what Atreus said. I don't think it felt like another scrim for us. We were like rabid, like hungry monkeys on stage. We were so hyped up, like jacked up on adrenaline, like super excited to play. Which, I prefer to being nervous and like overthinking, and because that would lead to like underperforming, I think. But I couldn't hear myself talk. Crowd was super loud. I was really hype. Anytime I went for a stun, I heard the crowd cheering. That hyped me up. Vest was shouting his entire like voice out into the ether. Like I thought he would not be able to speak the next day. He was shouting so loud. But completely different experience for us. I think we were just playing solely off instinct. Didn't feel like any scrim I've ever had or any even like tournament we've ever had. Completely unique experience, at least for me.
How about you, Mr. Bussy? This was your second time on stage. What did it feel like, especially seeing? Well, you haven't been at that venue before, but technically you were on stage.
I'll say this, bro. If at least the experience, like the gameplay experience itself, it felt a lot better than 2023. Primarily the connection. I swear to God, the last CCRC was ran on like hotspot Wi-Fi, and I didn't feel that this time around. This time I actually feel like my button's going off, so a big plus for that. But as for like the emotional aspect of it, I was definitely nervous because I do think nervousness is like a natural part of competition, especially a big competition like that. But I think more than that, I was just excited, bro. Like I'm a bit of a show off, so being in that atmosphere, especially when I heard like the crowd roar or like cheer, I felt a lot more empowered, right? And I think that just overrode any nervousness I was feeling on tourney. It's just a hype experience just being on that stage.
I'm going to say something very sad right now. I don't think any of us who were watching the stream got to actually experience like the roar of the crowd because the audio of the stream was so messed up, so we didn't actually get to like hear what you guys were
Yeah, the
hearing.
stream did not do it justice. Yeah,
Yeah,
Oh,
not
yesterday
at
was very
all.
loud.
yeah. Not only
If
that,
I
but
had
they had the crowd like the seats were way far back compared to last time, and so
yes,
there was the group of like the diehards standing right up at the stage with the signs, which was really cool to see. But then a few times you'd see the camera pan around, and the seated section looked so far away.
yeah.
Yeah.
I wish people could like maybe I could have I don't know. Obviously I was busy, but night and day. Even from the back, like the back room, the whole area in the back where I was, I could hear everything going through the wall. Like the wall was shaking. It was fucking
No,
awesome.
quite
It-
literally. I was like,
yeah.
idol screaming. I was screaming like Eidolon, Eidolon. The audience was doing the same thing. So you just cannot hear that from the stream, sadly.
It
To
was
be
very
honest,
Yeah.
I think
sad for
that
me.
that whole setup is even if it is like a big distance from the stage and the play. I it was mentioned. Atreus mentioned it too, and I think it's probably better for the players if the whole entire crowd isn't as close, especially when they're working with like headsets that probably have some sound issue. Like I wouldn't say sound issues, but like it can be
Oh,
difficult. So I think that
so
that setup's actually pretty nice. At least it
you mean
seems
like
that way.
the mosh pit middle part, right? Basically.
Not just the mosh pit's one thing, but like the stage is like the audience as well. Like the audience was really far back
Yeah.
with the chairs,
Um,
so there's that portion of it. I think the having like a separation there between like the mosh pit of like the uh that section, the audience as well in the far back, as well as like the players, because it to a certain extent like the crowd's gonna get loud to an extent where you
Yeah.
have trouble hearing people.
It
Some of
was
that,
it
It's also
was
on
bad.
us though.
it,
It's a bit on
I
us
agree
too.
with Atreus on that
There
because it's equipment, dude. Like if
we
the
had the option to bring it. We did,
yeah,
and it's just
Yeah.
most of us didn't. I don't think any stooge brought their own headset. Just mouse and
well, it's
keyboard.
not even just a headset. Like just a big as someone who works with like audio or has worked with audio engineering. Like just bring your own IEMs or called in-ear monitors because like the problem with headsets, like traditional headsets that they use, is like they're kind of like semi-open and it allows for like air to kind of get in and like
Mm.
sound travels by air vibration. So like that's why you're getting that kind of leak. If you bring like IEMs, which are like or even just like whatever earbuds that like kind of seal off the area, like you'll have a much better time, I promise you.
100 lessons that I would apply next time.
Yes.
so I personally did not like the mosh pit thing. Not because I didn't like people there. Great, I love people standing up and cheering the signs, but we just didn't rehearse that way, and it made the stream look like there was not a lot of people watching. Um,
Yeah,
Oh,
but
that's a good point. Yeah.
but there was a lot of people watching. But the
there.
reason why they did that is because the Primal concert, basically, they didn't want to
Oh,
adjust seatings too many times, because apparently in 2023, like they had people waiting for seats for the concert and holding spots, and then
Yes.
they removed the spots, and that caused big problems. So they didn't want to deal with that this time.
I guess silver lining is that I got to see a lot of my friends on the mosh pit, and it was very easy to see them. But yeah, there were a
That was
couple
very
of
funny.
comments on yeah. It's like, oh, I know that person. But yeah, there were a couple of comments in chat that were like, the 5 people that play PvP are in that mosh chat and that mosh pit, and it was like, that's depressing, man.
So
They're right though. No,
no.
I'm kidding.
All right. I have
Yeah.
only 2 questions left. They're to 2 people specifically. Um, Audit, I know that there's a couple of people in here that participate in this project, but I want you to talk a little bit in public about this very special document that you handed to Yoshi P and Mr. Prime. I want to like highlight a little bit of that, what we worked on and why.
Uh, to give a little bit of background, once upon a time back in the feast, there was kind of like a group of players, mostly feasters. I think Brian, you might have been a part of this. Um,
Yep.
yeah, so it was a very similar format. We got together, wanted to put together a document for feedback. I forget what expansion it was. I want to say Stormblood, maybe. Um, that was a time where the community was still pretty passionate about like the future, a little bit hopeful. Um, and we put this document together, posted it, and similar thing. The results at that time, some things did get implemented, others didn't. But the fact that we tried and at least a little bit went through a little, it felt like a small fraction of what we said was heard, right? And ever since then, we never really did it again. So I thought we should try it one more time because there has not 100% not been a concentrated effort to give feedback like that. The official forums is barren, overrun by people who honestly don't play. Like they don't play. They just sit in front lines and their opinions, I don't want to say don't matter, but they'll never really steer PvP in a good direction. Reddit's obviously full of PvE stuff, and like there's no concentrated effort. I wanted to give it one more go because I'm telling you right now, if 8.1 is not good, I'm probably quitting, and that's a sad thought to me. Um, so I wanted to give it one more try. I invited mostly CCRC people and like Diamond, or I'm sorry, Crystal Plus players. Um, I me, yourself, Tal, and Ama did a lot of like editing work to get it together. Brian came in clutch with that intel about Mr. Prime being there, so that kind of inspired the very last minute effort to get a Japanese translation like ready to go in time. And luckily, thanks once again to Tal, we were able to do that. And continuing that story after CCRC, when we were doing pictures, he was there. I had the document, and I was very luckily able to hand it to him. Had the translator lady there and everything. I was like, "We have a gift for you. We love PvP. Please accept this." And he said, "Thank you very much. We'll take it into consideration." Which now we wait. That's all we can do now.
I just found it funny that you didn't recognize his face. So I was like, he's right there.
Okay, to be fair, he was like behind other people. You said the brown-haired guy. I still couldn't see this guy. And finally, he's slouched over or whatever, like signing
Yes,
things. He stands
signing
up and is like,
things.
oh,
Yeah.
wow, of course. Yes, I didn't reckon. I've never seen him really, like until that like
Same.
session.
Same. I never saw him in person until then as well.
And I didn't want to like hand it to the wrong person, and then I'd look like an idiot. And then that's just a great start to that relationship.
Uh,
I have a gift for you. Wait, not you.
Wait, not you. You're not Mr. Prime.
Please give it back.
Yeah, please
Please.
return. Please return my gift. Thank you.
I'm just out of curiosity. Like what was the reaction? Did he just look at it and said, "Thank you for this. We'll take a look at it," or?
No, he laughed. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what was running through his mind, but he like laughed and like bowed and was like seemed pretty grateful, or just amused by it all.
Okay, so final question. This is specifically to Buzzy. Um, this was your second finals and first championship. You've been around a while. You did mention that for 2023 you had only been around for a little bit, but I would say that you have a chunk of experience by this point. However, I know that your team is very focused on like practicing what will get you guys a win. You practice on uh what works. There is no other way of putting it. What are your hopes for the mold in the future? Because I believe that I am not alone in this specific chat saying that something has to change. And one of the reasons why we put together this feedback, why we are having these conversations constantly in Discord and in Twitter and what have you, is because we all feel like some change is needed. But I am curious, as part of an hyper effective CC team, what would you like to see in the mold in the future?
Hmm. I will say I do think I have a strong understanding of CC. I just don't think I have a strong. I personally don't think I have a good understanding of how to fix it, right? But I guess I can start from like the basics, right? For one thing, Picto, right? That job's a tyrant on the field. I think I would like to see the overtune jobs. Not even Picto, like Picto, Paladin, Scholar. Those three jobs alone have insane like game. They're basically essential for me personally, minus like maybe few specific scenarios. So I'd like to see those jobs toned down. I think I'd like to see more purposeful fundamental changes to other jobs that are usually weak. Like I want to say for one thing, like Zanny or Samurai. I feel like Samurai is in a very weird spot where it wants to play as a brawler in a game where brawlers aren't really rewarded, despite the hit reg and purified changes. I think a lot of that is also its LB. You're kind of scaling towards like 24k potency. And if the enemy is just like even half decent, they're not gonna get punished. So that's one example. Same goes for like Dancer. That's probably like the stubbiest job in XIV at the moment. It's even stubbier than most melees for a range
Mm-hmm.
job, just to put in perspective, right? Like there's just a lot of things I change about jobs specifically that can't be changed by just adjusting potencies, right? So fundamentals really.
Kind of sad that you mentioned Dancer. I was jokingly telling Pepsi from Valiance that I would love to see her play at the very least one match on Dancer, and I, of course, got uh, laughed out of the room. She will never laugh at me, but like, there's a reason why it's not played, and there's a reason why, for example, Amma can bitterly talk about why Reaper is not played. I would definitely like to see so many jobs changed in a fundamental way. But yeah,
Well,
I
Oh
I
yeah,
do
think
agree.
yeah,
we play
thankfully
both those jobs.
the document that Treyas has pushed forward like would help address some of that. I think one of the major things, and thankfully it is in a document, is more in terms of the like the patch cadence, or like like at the speed at we get patches, because when we get any major changes, it's too far and few between, or what we do get like in what like a 3 month time span is like band-aids, right? So I'd like to see a lot more in that regard in the future, but um as is like, yeah, it's rough like operating under the same like things without any major changes. Hopefully in the future that changes, because I do agree uh with a Trace's choice. Like if things don't change significantly by XPAC, I definitely see that there's going to be a pretty large um withdrawal of players. Like I unfortunately, even on Let It Die, like one of our core players, like he has been fed up with the last patches that came out, so like he is officially taking a break until XPAC to see what he's going to do from there. So it's really sad to see, because these are people that it's not that he's not resilient, it's not that he does not enjoy LP, but it's like it's because he loves LP and he loves PvP as much as he does that it's forcing that kind of like reaction, and I can't blame.
So, Evercold will definitely be bringing two new jobs. That will shake things up a bit. I don't think they're gonna do anything major when it comes to job changes until potentially 8.1. This kind of cycle they always do
Yeah.
every expansion. Um, so 8.1 is when we'll see some things. I am very fearful that because Mr. Prime is gonna be PvE focused now, that PvP is gonna get even less when it comes to adjustments. But
That's true.
shall see.
We'll have
Hopefully there's a reallocation of resources in that regard. But more importantly too, like from seeing like the potential changes that we're receiving for Evercold, I am excited about the introduction of like we all joke about it that we're like the beta testers of the new PvE combat. Um but in that manner it is fun to see like and seeing the demonstrations they did for Dragoon specifically and seeing like I'm like dude that's Sky Shatter, right? So being able to see that is leaving me hopeful in regards like not just in PvP but like I have had a major struggle with PvE, especially with the 2-minute cycling. Like Reaper's double enshroud window is just boring at this
Right.
point.
Yeah.
Yeah, so seeing like these changes that are very like almost more PvP esque from the combat, like at least it's like, hey, perhaps a monkey like me can start savage raiding a little more seriously.
PvP
I for
leads the way.
one, I for one choose to be a bit more hopeful because um, they like evolved mode, PVE, the future of all that, like
Heck yeah.
is showing me that they're at least listening to some bit of it. And I would like to believe that this will translate hopefully in 8.1. I know I'm being probably overly optimistic, but I choose to believe that Mr. Prime and Yoshida, like they see it, but just haven't really been. You know what happens? Like halfway through every expansion, they start preparing for the next one.
Right.
And it's almost like radio silence for everything. Like you shouldn't expect anything from 7.3, 4, and 5, basically, because they're already thinking they've been thinking about Evercold this whole time. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, for sure.
And so I'd
Yeah.
like to believe that all that effort is going into that. But we'll see.
I'm pretty confident it'll be fun. Balance, like perfect. I don't really know. Um, like we know these guys. Like Yoshi P loves PvP. Once again, he watched CCRC like up front. Mr. Prime, he's like the only one to put his heart into PvP as a main dev. It's not like they don't like it and they don't want it to be as good as possible. It's like as a company, they're not allocating the resources to it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, hopefully that changes. They did make quite a big deal out of the CEO coming out to talk about how much Final
the
Fantasy
amount of
14
bullying
deserves
that
the
man
support.
took.
Yeah, facts. And I'm pretty hopeful and like that from the changes and the potential changes that we saw, like everything that's in the pipeline coming for 8.0, I don't doubt that because like I think as a company they I'm not talking about just Yoshi P Mr. Prime, like I mean like Squeenix as a whole. I think they're starting to understand that like this has been a consistent revenue point for them and it shows in their financials. But not only that, like uh they are realizing that some of the changes from this last XPAC and how things have proceeded without like major like groundbreaking moves, like you can't always just keep doing the same thing and expecting it to work out. Um, in this case, like it's
Sure.
time for change, and they have been showing the initiative for that. So I'm very hopeful that this will revitalize things because we ended, Endwalker ended on such a high note, and then like not to diss Dawn Trail, but like in a lot of conversations I've had within like colleagues, it's always like, oh yeah, like it used to be like the conversation of like, what was the weaker X Pack, Heaven's Ward, Stormblood, like I love Stormblood. So I'm happy that Dontra happened because now no one's talking down to Stormblood like they used to.
Yeah, true.
I have, on the one hand, on the other hand, about Evergold. One is positive, one is negative. On the one hand, I have a hope and an expectation that bringing Mr. Prime into the PvE side, into creating the evolve mode, is in some way going to result in the reunification, I guess you could say, of PvE and PvP kits. This I say because I have friends who used to play during feast times that no longer touch the mode because they do not like the feeling that they have to learn an entirely new game to play PvP. If they wanted to play another game, they would play another game. And I feel like that would be healthy for the mode overall, but the fear I have, on the other hand, is that if this is in fact not the case, the meme that we had one guy working on PvP will have been through, and that guy will have now been taken away from PvP. So not what are we left with? I am hopeful about Evercold, but I want to see, I guess, swooping action from the developers, and they have never been really good at doing that. So I guess I wait until 8.1 myself specifically, not talking about anybody else.
The new job is the new tank job has 2 shields, right?
Maybe.
I heard
Maybe.
that.
Rumor has it.
Rumor has it. I may be rebranding come Evercold. We'll have to see.
You know what?
I'm,
I'm
I'm,
Does
for
that
it.
mean does that mean
I'm full
Oswald
hope
and I
for
can
it.
finally team up? Hello?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
Oh my god, my dream ship is happening. Holy.
Oh shit.
We'll see.
All right. Well, that is it from me. But before we all this done, I want to ask everyone, like, let's not go in any specific order. I would like just to start with Emma and go down from that. To people who may be looking to get into LP, organized CC in any form, new players, what would you say? Let's start with Emma.
I would say don't be afraid to reach out. Like, I think that's a major thing that, people get scared or shy that it's like, oh, that's Atreus, right? Like, surely he won't talk to me or give me any tips on Paladin. But no, like, Atreus is really nice. Atreus will give you like all the information you can. We've had so many people in the community who have like invested such heavy resources into just being able to create guides and things like that. Like we all the joke of the Finch document, the 63-page Black Mage manifesto. It's a really fantastic resource that can even apply, like some of the logic can apply like cross class, right? Like he used to talk about AM theory because when we had the multiple dashes for Black Mage, like that can apply to Monk. Um, so like things like that, and as well as just like overall, like people have no problem in regards to like mentoring, um, and as well as reach out to organizers. Again, we have fantastic people that have been like organizing things. Big shout out to everyone that has worked on like events with Rising Stars. So thank you, Merlin, Neo, Tamari for the league. Right, that's designed to get newer players a little more information and less of a wall in regards to resources to be able to like learn the mode, because we don't have a very good system right now in place for teaching the mode fundamentals and things like that. So I'd say overall for new players, like don't be intimidated. A lot of the these higher up players, like they have zero issues whatsoever in sharing information, sharing tips, what they've learned, and as well as like a lot of people in this community have gone out of their way, even yourself, Tal, like of coaching newer players, right? Like this is how you play the game. We're gonna LP, like everything in that regard. So like, don't newer players, don't be afraid. Join us. Uh, all in all, it's a matter of just the information's there. The only thing that you kind of do have to do is just a little push beyond that comfort zone to just reach out, and you will get a plethora slash library slash fire hydrant of knowledge. I promise you.
All right. How about you, Audit?
Man, I'm kind of nailed most of it. But if I were to pick something out of that whole thing, that I would say is just be tenacious. Like if you're gonna do it, if you're interested in it, commit to it and go all the way. Like learn what you can through solo queue, reach out, be social with the community, and just the resources are all there, and they're set up so that anybody who's interested, anybody who wants it, will find it. It's not meant to be hidden or anything like that. In fact, I just googled it recently. Like I'm pretty sure if you just do like uh FFXIV PvP like light party, the first thing that comes up is revival, and that's your first step. And that's all it takes is that first step.
How about you, John? What would you tell new players?
Yeah, Ama and Audit pretty much covered it all. I would definitely say join Rising Stars, join in on the memes. Everybody in the well, I can't say everybody. Most people in the community are really funny and welcoming. I love the PvP community. It's basically like all I interact with in Final Fantasy 14 anymore. I don't do PvE at all, except to progress the MSQ because PvE puts me to sleep after the second or third time I clear something. But it's a very rewarding experience because the content is dynamic. It's always changing. You never know how the next encounter is going to unfold. You never know what's going to happen next. And there's a lot of potential for people to learn and grow as players, make friends, and the social aspect of it, and participate in community events. So there's big opportunity for a creative outlet as well. Yeah.
Talking about creatives, how about you, Brian? What would you say to new players?
I think the best way to get started is following kind of like the pipeline the game has, which is like trying out casual queue first, seeing how it feels, doing a little bit of front lines, jumping into rank CC, and then from there, unfortunately, we don't have like a light party season and stuff like that, but searching for the resources of how to get started and then working away from there. Can be really hard because you have to find a team and stuff like that. But we have a lot of community events, like community roulette, for example. Is a good way to get started with Light Party. We know many people who have joined once in a while, and they started to join the teams and stuff like that. So I think that's like one of the best ways to get into Light Party these days.
I find it funny that you would mention Frontline because the odds of joining Frontline and somehow getting teamed up with renowned Frontline main Buzzy Wuzzy, they're not bad. What would you say, Buzzy?
Oh, did you covers? At least when it comes to LP, especially as a new player, I want to say just don't be picky and take any opportunity that you're given. So for my CCRC 2023 team, Shut Up Your Kids, that was actually my first team. And it was the team I joined because it was the first team that would take me. So I didn't even like give them a second. I was like, yeah, you guys will take me? Bet I'll join you guys, right? Because I understood that I was new and that since I started a bit late, I started in season 5, that I had a lot of catching up to do relative to other players in the community at the time. So I knew I didn't have the luxury of being picky, right? I saw that the only way I was going to get better was with experience and getting that experience whenever and wherever I could, whether that was joining a full team of newcomers, participating in pugs, shout out Argo, or even feeling for other teams. And I think feeling for other teams would have the bonus of giving you that perspective and experience of how they play and how you might even be able to implement their style into your own experience in LP. And I think it's only when you have all that experience can you allow yourself that luxury of being picky, right? So until you have that experience, just take whatever you can. Take any opportunity that gives you that experience.
How about you, Merlin? You who have brought up countless newbies like myself.
Mainly two things. People forget that the only person you have to prove things to is yourself. And they lose track of that whenever they like feel like they're not where they are supposed to be or whatever. And I think that's just fucking dumb. Just keep queuing. You will get there. Also be accepting that there is people that are smarter than you. They've been at it for a while for a reason, even if they aren't fully like correct or whatever in some things. That is still like building your textbook in your head, and be okay with that. Like I used to bring up the playbook. People would always like poke my brain, and it's like no, because I was there and I put myself in a position to learn. I built all those like mistakes and calls or whatever or scenarios in my head, and it made me a better player overall because I put myself in a position to be okay with that. Be like, oh, okay, I'm really curious. Like I would have called something else. I wonder what how did what is their understanding of the game? Everybody has different perspectives on things, and it's constantly changing. I know I opened my eyes a lot when I started looking at JP players, and I started looking at Chinese players, and then I kind of found what I could understand and approach from those two, and then I put it into my own style, and calibrated to a point that worked. Um, yeah, mainly those two things, and know that be okay with knowing you're gonna, you know, be getting pushed down. And we live in an age where there's no IQ test to type anything and avoid those words. It doesn't mean anything. And keep queuing up. Don't let those fucking lies and shit get in your brain. Just keep playing. You will get there, I promise.
As one who got there, Neo, what would you say to people coming in new?
Join EPL. It's a perfect place for you to get your feet wet and learn about LP without having people scream at you and tell you you're awful. And yeah, you're part of something. You'll be part of something welcoming and productive for your growth as a player. And you'll get gil. Smile.
Oswald, how about you? How would you talk to a new squire?
I think I was actually going to say the same thing. I highly recommend checking out Community Roulette to start if you're like completely new to PvP or LP, I should say, and then EPL, Eorzea Premier League, Squires League. That's gonna be the next best step because for me, when I started in season 9, what roped me in was the community for sure. It was that I had friends already playing the game, and then I was meeting people, talking with them, interacting with them beyond just the game. The community is what you stay for when you play PvP for sure. Um, it really is a lot of things. You could say so many things to newcomers, but finding the people that you like and sticking with them is probably going to take you farther than anything else in the PvP community. Um, Learning to play together, grow together, and experiencing all the game has to offer as a team and just as a group of friends is what I hope for anybody who starts this game for the first time.
Thomas, what would you say to people coming in fresh to the mode and wanting to join their new team or just trying out LP?
So I feel like something to this line is this for me or Oswald? I'm sorry, just making sure.
To you,
I don't know.
bro.
Okay,
It's
just
all
making
it's
sure.
all you, Tomes. It's always been you. What the heck, man?
I feel like this gets asked quite, and it's like hard to gauge how much impact we're getting from like new players, or really gauge how many new players we're getting, because this question does get asked. I remember getting asked like the last couple of times, uh, tied around CCRC, was like, how do new players get into this? I feel like it gets asked like every tournament too. Not that it's a bad thing to ask, but it does get asked quite frequently, and I think it's nice to have a reminder of how people can get into that. Um, it like you don't even think about it. Like Buzzy is champion for 2026, but at the same time, Buzzy was mentioning in 2023 he was relatively new to the light party, at least. Is that, or to, was it light party, Buzzy? Correct me there.
I was both. Yeah, it was both. I think like I was
Yeah.
only like, at least for CC prelims, I was only playing CC for like 2 months up to that point, at least.
Yeah, and like you have players that are just new to it, and but it's really hard to gauge like how new a player is to getting into that. Brian kind of touched on it earlier, where, and I'll kind of just add to it, like you had to find out if you enjoy it first. You have to have fun playing this game mode
Oh yeah.
to some extent to really get into it. And once you kind of know, and you're, even if you're just doing casuals, ranked, whatever you're doing, and you're even if it's like difficult, if you're having some level of fun and you want to invest more time into it. Alma mentioned like kind of talking to Atreus, or just in general, kind of like how you can reach out to people in general. It's really kind of hard, especially if you don't know anybody. Everyone's a stranger to you. You kind of just, but when you're in there, chances are you eventually find some community hub of PvPers and you can just ask around like what sort of Discord hub or what sort of Discord group that they're a part of, and you can start getting the names, like Revival, Rising Stars. You'll start getting into the Discords, and then you can kind of get the outlet for like what news and everything is coming from there. I think everyone's kind of touched on like in general ways to do that, but like you have to take the steps first. You got to figure out if you enjoy it, especially if you're a new player. You may not enjoy it, but if you do, and you like, especially if you get into LP and you start doing that, and you enjoy that, that's like the step up. You just got to take it one level at a time to see if you actually like it, and then yeah, that's how. At least the process that I would do it. You just Brian kind of mentioned it earlier in the beginning, where it's just you start casual, maybe ranked if you honestly that it's a mentality difference, but they're both kind of just different player bases, surprisingly. But you just casual, ranked, play the actual game, click buttons, and then you go from there to the community hubs.
I will close off by adding something to what Merlin said. If you are coming in, you have to kind of be comfortable being uncomfortable. This sounds kind of impossible, especially if like you are neurodivergent or like have uh, difficulty regulating your emotions, that kind of thing. The expectation is that you're new, you don't know what you're doing. Oh God, people are gonna judge me. This is actual things I have heard from other players. There isn't a better sandbox to mess up and like try new things and learn that in 14 as a game itself, and PvP is no exception in my humble opinion. There may be people who judge you, but I promise they're not worth your time. The majority of this community is dying to welcome new blood and just generally see the scene thrive, I think. And I think that's all I would want to add to what Merlin said. I do think learning to develop that feeling of I messed up, but that's fine is very important and sort of under mentioned. But anyway, I am going to leave it here by thanking everyone for your time. We took way more of their time than I actually had asked, and I really appreciate that you guys stayed all the way here. I am very happy with the turnout that we had for this. I actually was like, I reached to a bunch of you, and I fully was expecting like 5 people to show up. So this was beyond expectations. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks
thank
so
you
much
for
for
having
having
us.
us.
You.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you for setting this up, Tal.
My pleasure as always.